Hello, my name is Lauren Mikulak, and I'm a planner with the City of Wheat Ridge Community Development Department. I am presenting case number WZ-19-10, which is a request to amend the underlying planned development zoning at Clear Creek Crossing to increase the allowable height for hospital uses. We'll start with an aerial. The subject site is outlined here in red. Many of you are familiar with the property. It's located west of I-70, south of Highway 58 and Clear Creek, and north of 32nd Avenue. The property is known as Clear Creek Crossing and is about 110 acres in size. If you've looked at the site from the interstate lately, you've been seeing activity over the last year or so. In 2019, Denver Water completed work on a new water line that traverses the site. The master developer has been working on infrastructure, including construction of 40th Avenue, Clear Creek Drive, and the new hook ramps at I-70. Vertical construction has not yet started. This image is an excerpt from the zoning map. That bright blue color represents the PMUD, or Planned Mixed-Use Development, zoning designation. Surrounding zoning is planned commercial development, shown here in gray, to the north, west, and south. The hatched area beyond is unincorporated Jefferson County to the west and includes a residential neighborhood. On the east side of I-70 are commercial and industrial developments with PCD zoning and residential in the yellow colors beyond. Plan developments are customized property-specific zoning documents and involve a two-step process. In this case, the first step was approval of the PMUD zoning in 2018. That approval included two regulatory documents, the Outline Development Plan and a Design Pattern Book. These two documents establish the allowed uses and development standards for the property and establish access configurations. The second step is approval of specific development plans for each building, lot, or phase. These focus on specific details, including architecture, site design, and landscaping. And for Clear Creek Crossing, one SDP has already been approved, several are under staff review, and more are expected this year. The approved zoning organizes the site into 8 planning areas. In this image, north is now to the left-hand side. This is an excerpt from the Design Pattern Book that shows those 8 planning areas. Each planning area allows for a different mix of uses and has different development standards. In general, the zoning calls for a mix of uses at a variety of scales, including multifamily, retail, restaurant, entertainment, and employment. The focus tonight is strictly on Planning Area 1, or PA1, shown here in orange towards the top of the screen. There is no change proposed for any other planning area. PA1 is owned by SCL Health, the same entity that operates the Lutheran Medical Campus in the middle of Wheat Ridge on 38th Avenue, just west of Wadsworth. SCL Health purchased the PA1 property in 2018, and a hospital use is specifically listed in the ODP and is a permitted use under the current zoning. As the applicant has started working on their conceptual plans, they have refined their vision and their needs for the site and determined that additional height allowance is necessary. In PA1, maximum height depends on the use and 4 categories are established. This table is taken from the current zoning. In PA1, a single-purpose commercial use is limited to 62 feet. Residential uses are limited to 65 feet, and primary employment and vertical mixed use are limited to 90 feet in height. This request to increase additional height would be accomplished in the most limiting way possible by adding 2 specific categories to this PA1 height chart. The first would allow a hospital building to be a maximum of 102 feet, which would accommodate a 6-story structure, the same number of stories as the existing Lutheran building. The second category would accommodate an elevator and vestibule accessory to a rooftop helipad. This is limited in size to 2,500 square feet, a very small portion of the rooftop. Again, these are already permitted uses under the current zoning, and there's no change to the use chart or to any other development standard. This image is an excerpt from the Design Pattern Book. From a functional standpoint, the end result of this request would be that those 2 categories would be added to this page in the document, to this table specifically, shown here in red. In a plan development, for any change to a development standard, in this case to the maximum height, the request is processed the same as the original approval. That means we review the request against the zone change criteria. A full analysis is provided in the staff report, and our findings are here. Staff finds that the request does comply with the criteria. The change in height is not expected to have an adverse effect. The applicant's submittal included with the staff report demonstrates that a rooftop helipad reduces impacts and improves safety as compared with a ground-based facility. The additional height cannot be achieved through any other process, such as a variance. It requires amendment to the underlying zoning. And there are adequate facilities to serve a building of this height. The comprehensive plan and the zoning documents are not detailed enough to discuss the specific development needs or standards for hospital use. The image on this slide is an excerpt from the comprehensive plan, which designates the property as having a mix of uses and serving as a regional destination. Staff finds that it is appropriate to recognize the unique needs of a hospital use through this amendment. In terms of process, the request required a neighborhood meeting to be held prior to the application being submitted, and that took place last fall in October. There were 3 members of the public in attendance. The height proposal was also sent on referral to service providers, and there were no concerns. Planning Commission will be making a recommendation in this case to City Council, who will be the final decision maker on the request. The focus of this application is strictly on the height. Eventually, the applicant will be submitting a specific development plan, SDP application, which would include development details and the opportunity to review and comment on site and building design. Ultimately, staff is recommending approval of the request.